This time, we dive into the biography of Muhammad Ali, the man who called himself the greatest. If you're a fan of his or interested in athletes' lives, you can put your knowledge of his life to the test. Here, we provide a summary of Muhammad Ali's biography, exploring various aspects and details of his life. Stay with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cassius Marcellus Clay. He's young, he's handsome. They know it.
Muhammad Ali was born in 1942 in the city of Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Originally, he shared the same name as his father, Cassius Marcellus Clay, but after converting to Islam, he changed his first name to Muhammad and his last name to Ali. He had a younger brother named Rudolph Valentino Clay, who also converted to Islam and changed his name to Rahman Ali. At 12 years old, Muhammad Ali and his brother were riding their only bicycle one afternoon, cruising around the city streets. Suddenly, a heavy rain began pouring down. To stay dry, they took shelter in a nearby theater hall. After 2 or 3 hours, when the rain stopped, they went back to find their bicycle, only to discover it was missing. People around them suggested they report it to a police officer in the basement of the same theater. That officer was Joe Martin, who spent his free time training amateur boxers in that basement. When Muhammad Ali angrily told him what had happened and said he wanted to find the thief and beat him up, Joe asked, "Do you know how to fight?" Ali replied, "No." Joe then said, "Why don't you start training right here?" Muhammad Ali initially ignored Joe Martin's suggestion and went home. However, that night, he watched Joe Martin's show, Tomorrow's Champions, on television, and soon returned to start his training there. According to Joe Martin, at first, Muhammad Ali was an ordinary individual, but very soon, he began to show qualities that a coach can't teach. He was agile, had quick hands and feet, and his excellent reflexes allowed him to dodge opponents' punches effortlessly. When a punch to the head left him dazed, he quickly regained his composure and, instead of retreating in fear or pain, he would strike back at his opponent. Around that time, he also took up running, but not before or after school. He did it on the way to school. At the bus stop, he'd wait with his friends for the school bus, but once his friends boarded, he'd start running alongside it. Every time the bus stopped, he would stop too, making funny faces at his friends. 1 month after joining Joe's gym, Muhammad Ali won his first amateur match. In October 1960, at the age of 18, Muhammad Ali began his professional career by defeating 32-year-old Sonny Liston, who was the chief of police in Fayetteville. About 3 years later, by the end of 1963, Muhammad Ali was already recognized as the top contender for taking the World Championship title from Sonny Liston. Their match was scheduled for February 25, 1964. Liston, with his criminal background and ties to the mob, was a formidable opponent. Given Muhammad Ali's recent performance in his last 2 matches and the fact that Liston had twice knocked out former heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson in the first round, the odds of Ali losing were estimated at 7-1. Still, Muhammad Ali taunted Liston, calling him the Big Ugly Bear, saying,
"Liston even smells like a bear, and after I beat him, I want to donate him to the zoo."
Ali's heart rate was at 120, more than twice the normal rate of 54. Some believed his taunts showed he was scared, and others thought he wouldn't show up for the fight. But in the end, Muhammad Ali stepped into the ring, leaving Liston with his first memorable scar under his eye and knocking him out, claiming the heavyweight championship title for himself. At the age of 18, Muhammad Ali had registered for the draft to be called into military service if needed. In 1964, due to dyslexia and struggles with writing and spelling skills that he had faced since childhood, he didn't pass the U.S. Armed Forces qualification test and was placed in a category only drafted in a national emergency. However, 2 years later, just as the U.S. was involved in the Vietnam War, the armed forces lowered their standards, making Ali now eligible for the draft. When he learned of this, he said,
War goes against the teachings of the Quran. I don't want to shirk my duty. We should not take part in any war unless it is by the command of God or the Prophet. We should not be the ones to start a war, but if we are attacked, we will defend ourselves. I have no quarrel with the Vietnamese people. Why should I be asked to wear a uniform and travel thousands of kilometers away to drop bombs and bullets on the people of Vietnam, when right here, black people are denied basic human rights?
So, on April 28, 1967, he appeared at the draft induction session but remained in place 3 times after his name was called, refusing to step forward. The officer warned him that his refusal carried a penalty of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. But he refused again and was subsequently arrested. That same day, the New York State Athletic Commission suspended his boxing license and stripped him of his championship title. Over time, opposition to the Vietnam War began to grow among Americans, and now, Muhammad Ali, barred from boxing, was giving speeches at colleges across the United States, criticizing the Vietnam War and advocating for black pride and racial justice. In July 1970, a federal court ruling forced the New York State Athletic Commission to reissue Muhammad Ali's license. He defeated Oscar Bonavena in a fight, becoming a top contender to challenge heavyweight champion Joe Frazier. The match with Frazier took place on March 8, 1971. Due to the immense excitement surrounding the face-off between 2 undefeated fighters vying for the championship, it was dubbed the fight of the century. During the fight, although Ali landed his own punches, he also absorbed more blows than ever before in his career, ultimately experiencing his first professional defeat by unanimous decision. After his loss to Frazier, Muhammad Ali faced Jerry Quarry, Floyd Patterson, and Bob Foster, defeating each of them. In one fight, however, Ken Norton broke his jaw, marking Ali's second professional defeat. Following this match, Ali initially considered retirement, but later went on to defeat Ken Norton in a rematch. This victory led to another showdown between Ali and Frazier, who had now lost his championship title to George Foreman. This time, however, Ali emerged victorious by unanimous decision. Frazier's defeat set the stage for Ali to challenge the reigning heavyweight champion, George Foreman, in what became known as the Rumble in the Jungle. Foreman's punches were considered some of the hardest in heavyweight history. He had demolished both Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, who had each previously defeated Muhammad Ali with second-round knockouts. Ali, now 32, had clearly lost some of his speed and reflexes. Almost no one, not even his longtime supporter Howard Cosell, gave him much chance of winning. In this fight, Ali used a unique technique, later known as the rope-a-dope, where he appeared trapped against the ropes and encouraged Foreman to throw constant punches at him. As Foreman began to tire, Ali gradually landed more quick punches until, in the 8th round, he floored Foreman with a combination, regaining the championship by knockout amidst the roaring stadium crowd. Notice how Ali used the rope-a-dope technique to drain his opponent's energy and suddenly overpower him. The third encounter with Frazier, Thrilla in Manila in 1975, Muhammad Ali faced Frazier for a third time in a grueling fight known as the Thrilla in Manila. Ali quickly grew tired in this battle and resorted to his rope-a-dope technique. But as Frazier wore himself out with relentless attacks, Ali launched his own assaults again. Eventually, with Frazier's eyes swollen, his trainer called for the fight to stop, and Ali won by knockout. Ali later described this match as the closest thing to dying that I know, and remarked about Frazier, "After me, he's the greatest fighter of all time." In 1979, Muhammad Ali announced his retirement. However, shortly after, he declared his comeback to face Larry Holmes and attempt to win the WBC title for a record fourth time. A significant part of Ali's motivation for this fight was his need for money. Richie Giachetti, Larry Holmes' trainer, said Larry didn't want to fight Muhammad Ali. He knew Ali had nothing left. He knew it would be a terrible fight. Around this time, Ali had begun showing signs of trembling hands and slurred speech, but he still received medical clearance to return to the ring. If you can't guess the outcome of the fight, read on to find out. Muhammad Ali fought his last match on December 11, 1981, against Trevor Berbick, in which he also faced defeat. He bid farewell to the world of boxing with a record of 61 fights, 56 wins, 37 knockouts, and 5 losses. To watch the second part of the video, subscribe to my channel.